Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja. I am Salwa Kalala Ibrahim. The headlines. Senate meets Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Team to examine grey areas in proposed tax reform bills. Change of guard at Lagos State House of Assembly as first female speaker emerges. Chaotic situation at the National Secretariat of People's Democratic Party (PDP) as contentions over authentic secretary remains unabated. Also, federal government hints at realignment of education policies to make learning more practical.
This is.
Now the details. The National Assembly entered its second week of the budget defense exercise with ministries, departments and agencies defending their financial proposal for the year 2025. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali brings us up to speed with compilation of the exercise. Minister of Power at the Budget Defense informed the Senate Committee on Power that 2.779 trillion naira is the ministry's proposal and that powering and installation of CCTV cameras on highways across Nigeria for safety of travelers is among its about 200 capital projects in 2025.
We also intend to establish command and control centers at every 20 kilometers to ensure that they are properly equipped to patrol those routes, and where there is anything triggered on the CCTV, the security personnel will be there.
The Senate and House Joint Committee on Army continued the engagements behind closed doors after commitments to ensure improved security.
We know what is required in terms of the type of procurement made by the Army itself.
We have seen how we have succeeded in improving their capital and largely their overheads.
The Joint Committee on Science and Technology hosted the minister, who emphasized that the ministry will sustain the trajectory of economic diversification through application of science, technology and innovation.
To move the Nigerian economy from resource to knowledge-based, driven by innovation.
Many R&D resources of the ministry have not gone beyond shelf of laboratories, and the ministry need to make effort in commercializing and patenting those resources.
At another session, the Ministry of Environment and its agencies defended their proposals before the Senate Committee on Environment.
We don't have any challenge except that the funding is a problem.
Immediately, the one that requires to come back immediately will come back.
Meanwhile, the Joint Admission and Matriculations Board, JAMB, was asked to forward more documents when it appeared before the Joint Committee on Tax Fund.
Need a detailed information on the extent of spending of JAMB.
National Senior Citizen Center was among agencies that got the green light on their proposal before the Special Duties Committee at Senate. Improving welfare of retirees was what dominated the budget defense engagements between the Joint Committee with PENCAM and PITAD.
We also need to take into cognizance as well the deduction by the federal government. We do hope that it stays at 30% or lower.
Just the highlights for us to be able to look at it.
The chairman of the NDLEA sought the support of the National Assembly during budget defense to enable it to procure equipment as it continues the war against illicit substances.
Still from the National Assembly, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee mandated to look into grey areas of the tax reform bills has met this Monday evening at the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform team. At the end of the meeting, which held behind closed doors, both sides expressed optimism that the interest of all Nigerians remains the priority.
We are in the process. We have agreed amongst ourselves that we must synthesize the whole processes to ensure that at the end of the day, we give to Nigerians what Nigerians want, and that is a law that serves the purpose of all Nigerians. Yes. So that is where we are now, and hopefully by the time we meet again, we'll finalize.
And then you will see the consensus is that the bill is, all the bills that we have, is what the country needs as at now. But because there will always, when you have this kind of reform, a situation where more clarification, more education is needed. So what has happened today is that you see the framer of the law, you see the Attorney General, you see the lawmaker, and all of us, the operators and everything. All those things you call gray area were discussed, identified, and then so the judgment is not to be made. It's just for us to continue the engagement, the consultation, which, based on your observation, have been positive.
Not done with parliamentary matters. From this center of excellence now, Lagos State, lawmakers have impeached Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, over allegations of financial misappropriation and lack of transparency in managing the Assembly. The motion for the impeachment was moved on the matters of urgent public importance at an emergency plenary in Lagos. Musa Toliat reports.
The plenary was far from the regular because it was conducted in the chamber without power supply. Having acknowledged a letter for emergency sitting, Honorable Femi Said, representing Koshofe Constituency 2, moved the motion for the impeachment of the Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, under matters of urgent public importance.
I hereby move that the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa, be removed as Speaker of this House Assembly for the following reason. 1. Gross misconduct and poor leadership, including perpetual lateness to legislative sessions and meetings.
Thereafter, the clerk declared the office of the Speaker vacant. Then it was time for nomination for the office of the Speaker. 32 out of the 40 members of the Assembly ratified the nomination of Mojisola Lasbat Miranda as the new and first female Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, while Honorable Majid Fatah became the Deputy Speaker.
I will strive to preserve the fundamental and objective and directive principles of state policy.
So the House, as you can see, we have resolved to work together and ensure that we move the Parliament to the next level.
The House of Assembly also suspended the clerk of the Assembly, Olalekan Onofeko, and he has been replaced with Abubakar Taiwo Otun as the acting clerk of the House of Assembly. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Borno State government has confirmed the killing of 40 farmers in Kukawa local government area of the state. Confirming the incident in a statement, the State Commissioner of Information and Internal Security, Professor Usman Tar, described the attack as an act of terrorism. He says Governor Babagana Zulum condemns the attack and calls on the armed forces to track and neutralize the criminals. He recalls that on Sunday, 12th January, armed militia suspected to be Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists attacked some farmers and fishermen at Dumba community near Baga in Kukawa local government area. The state government assures citizens of Borno that the matter will be thoroughly investigated for further necessary action, as investigation had since commenced, according to the Commissioner of Information. Inspector General of Police Kayode Betokun has urged police personnel to remain professional at all times. This was at a virtual conference he convened with strategic managers of the force in Abuja. Francis Form report that the conference focused on reviewing past achievement and setting new goals for enhanced policing strategies in 2025. Additionally, the IGP announced plans for reorientation courses aimed at instilling attitudinal change among police personnel with a focus on professionalism, promotion of human rights, ethical conduct, and community policing. The IGP urged all strategic managers to be accountable in their dealings with the public at their various commands, emphasizing that supervisors will be held responsible for any misconduct by their subordinates. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has announced that individuals apprehended for vandalizing the public infrastructure will now face charges of economic sabotage. This was the decision reached during the first Security Council meeting in 2025, chaired by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, at his official residence in Life Camp. Onoze Yakubu has the details.
After the meeting, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Dusu, emphasizes the need for stricter penalties, noting that lenient punishments have allowed vandals to continue their nefarious activities. He highlights the dangers posed by vandalism, like the removal of manhole covers, which often lead to accidents, urging residents to view public infrastructure as shared property and report suspicious activities.
While driving at night, you may not know that it has been removed and is capable of causing death. So they will be charged for economic sabotage, and even at times, if possible, attempted murder or murder.
The council is also set to enforce a 2-week ban on the operation of scrap metal dealers to profile operators towards ensuring only legitimate businesses remain, while scavenger activities have been restricted to designated dump sites outside the city center and suburbs.
Henceforth, the activities of scavengers have been banned within the city center of the Federal Capital Territory and the suburb as well. All security agencies have been tasked with ensuring that this order is enforced. As from tomorrow, this order will be enforced. The pantakers will be closed for us to profile them.
CP Disu reveals that the police recovered 21 operational vehicles used by the criminals in 2024. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
New figures reveal that nearly 49,000 inmates in Nigerian custodial centers are awaiting trial, which compound two challenges across the country. The Acting Controller General of Corrections, Sylvester Ndidi, disclosed this during an interactive session with senior officers. Shehu Mohammed Datti reports.
The meeting, described as interactive, encouraging and promising, aimed to refocus and recalibrate the corrections service for better delivery. According to the Acting Controller General, zero tolerance will be applied to acts compromising the service sanctity, with consideration given to staff and inmates' welfare.
There's no amount that is too small for feeding people that are incarcerated, or too much, but at the same time taking care of their stomach. If you want me, I will say 5,000, 10,000, but are they realistic considering budgetary constraint? So for now, we are moving one step at a time.
To address overcrowding, the corrections boss plans to engage state chief executives to expedite trials of over 90% of state offenders in custody. Additionally, the construction of a proposed 3,000 capacity modern custodial facility and other centers nationwide will be fast-tracked. Following the presidential increase in inmates' feeding rates, monitoring teams have been deployed to oversee inmates' welfare, ensuring vulnerable persons in custodial centers receive favorable treatment.
The staff also have their own part to play, in as much as there was a cascading aspect of what happened in the outer society as a concern in security affecting us as a result of external aggression on our facility. The staff will also, the human factor must have to be in place so that some of these lapses, indolences will not be compromised.
The Controller General praised staff resilience amidst challenging conditions, urging them to remain focused as better days lie ahead. In Abuja, Shu Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
Watching the news at 10 on NTA News 25. More report in a moment. Stay with us.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary health care center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Many thanks for being there. Now, Nigeria attracts $7.6 billion in investment interest as Africa's Forum. Vivian Izidiefi has more on our business package.
Nigeria has secured a significant investment boost, attracting $7.6 billion in investment interest at the 2024 African Investment Forum in Rabat, Morocco. This announcement was made by African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina, who expressed optimism about the potential impact of these investments. The investment interests are seen as a strong vote of confidence in Nigeria's economic potential and reforms. In addition, the African Development Bank Group facilitated $2.2 billion in capital mobilization for the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone's Nigerian Phase 2 project. With business, Vivian Izadifi.
Many thanks, Vivian. To other news now, agricultural expert warns that post-harvest losses not only threaten food security, but also drive farmers to adopt unethical production practices, putting consumer health at risk. On Good Morning Nigeria, experts emphasized the importance of involving local fabricators in designing storage facilities to minimize these losses.
For example,
tomatoes have been destroyed by pathogens. And most of these tomatoes have been consumed. That is why many people are having cancer problems.
So because of that, some national agencies like Nigerian Stockholder Research Institute have developed small, medium storage structures. We have a small one, a metric drum that can take about 250 kilograms of, that's like 5 bags of 50 kg each of cowpea, soybean you store. And we have another structure that we call inert atmosphere silo that can take 2 tons or 5 ton metric tons of either maize, sorghum, rice, and you store it. And when we did it, we've stored paddy rice for 48 months, and the quality was still there. The same thing with sorghum, the same thing with maize, and those are the small technology we have. But as an institute, we are limited to how do we extend this technology to the private sectors, to the users. So we have pockets of them in some locations in the country. And today, if we have opportunity, we have the backup, and everybody, my proposal is that all those small technology through AFAN, Nigeria Agribusiness Group, and some other value chain actors, we are ready to deploy them to all the 774 local governments of this country.
Following the recent emergence of a new COVID-19 variant in China and subsequent international concerns over the spread of the deadly virus, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has convened a strategic stakeholders meeting to discuss the preparedness response plans and proactive measures to take in Nigeria. Director General of the agency, Zubaida Umar, said all hands must be on deck to proactively curtail the spread in the country. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
The SARS-CoV-2 Omicron strain was first reported in May 2024. It has been detected in 43 countries across Europe, Asia, and North America. In Africa, Botswana reported 1 case from a hospitalized European traveler. It is currently being monitored by the health authorities in other regions.
Presently, we have our action plans.
These stakeholders meeting, convened by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is geared towards harmonizing efforts to check the spread of the virus in Nigeria. Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, in a message, told the gathering that they must do everything within their powers to prevent past COVID-19 experience that claimed many lives.
While Nigeria is not directly affected at the moment, proactive planning, preparedness, and collaboration are essential to safeguarding our citizens and mitigating any potential risk.
As of 24th September 2024, the World Health Organization, WHO, designated the virus as a variant under monitoring, with rising prevalence in several countries, which warrant a cautious approach and strengthening surveillance in Africa. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
Talking politics now, Senator Samuel Anyanwu says he remains the substantive National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, despite the appeal court in Enugu State dismissal of his position. The appellate court ruling upheld the decision that recognized the former National Youth Leader Sunday Ude Okoye as the National Secretary. Correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo, however, disclosed that PDP is yet to receive any stay of execution on Anyanwu's resumption.
The National Secretariat of the PDP officially opened this Monday, 13 January 2025, from the Yuletide holiday. 2 factional secretaries vowed to resume following the Enugu State Court of Appeal ruling sacking Senator Samuel Anyanwu from office, having participated in the last governorship election in Imo State. Anyanwu resumed office, saying that with the stay of execution, the status quo must be preserved, meaning he remains the National Secretary until the Supreme Court resolves the matter.
As a matter of fact, what the law says that I should appeal. I appeal the matter, appeal for
stay of execution and order and appeal to Supreme Court. Obviously, what it means that the position remains as it is until determined by the Supreme Court.
Sunday Ude Okoye, however, did not show up at the PDP National Secretariat against his earlier resolve to resume office this Monday. PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba has reacted to the development, saying the party has not received any stay of execution, describing Anyanwu's reception as unfortunate. A stay of execution, he stressed, is a process, and that the parties involved in the matter must all be served. Meanwhile, some supporters of Senator Anyanwu staged protest at the entrance of PDP National Secretariat, chanting songs that Samuel Anyanwu remains the National Secretary of the PDP. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
State Governor Seyi Makinde has officially presented instruments of office to the new Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akeem Abimbola Owode Ayomikun Ajibola. Report that the presentation ceremony took place at the Executive Council Chambers in Ibadan. Moving on now, but still in Oyo State, Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan has granted bail applications filed by the ex-wife of the Ooni of Ife, Naomi Oriyomi Hamzat, and the principal of Islamic High School, Bashiru Abdullahi Fasasi. Kehinde Omolosho report that the ruling was pronounced by Justice Kamarudin Olaoye.
Defendants had argued that bail applications before the court last Tuesday, but the court ruled that the defendants be remanded in prison till January 13 for a ruling on their bail application.
The court granted his application for bail, which means Oriyomi Hamzat has been directed to be released by the prison custody on bail. And the court also stated the conditions for the bail. That is 2 sureties in the sum of 10 million. That does not mean those sureties should pay that 10 million, but they should enter into a bond that in case Alhaji Oriyomi Hamzat jumps bail, that is what they will forfeit to the government. It was not a premeditated act. It was just unfortunate that it happened. And we have compassion for those who suffered one loss or the other. And we pray that may the soul of the victims rest in peace.
The judge ordered the suspects to deposit their passports with the court and barred them from granting an interview. The defendants were arrested over the ill-fated Children's Festive Party in December 2024, which claimed the lives of 35 children following the stampede at the Islamic High School, Basharun, Ibadan. Kehinde Omolosho, NTA News.
It's still the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We'll be back with more report after this break.
What is fake news? A false information with no verifiable source presented as true story on media platforms with the sole intention of causing injuries, chaos, and disaffection between persons, groups, or countries. Fake news facilitates extremism. Fake news creates panic and distrust. Fake news breeds hatred. Fake news kills. Don't joke with it. Don't be in a rush. Verify your sources and facts. It is better late than fake. This message is brought to you by NTA News 24.
Many thanks for being there. Now let's take off from education to make it in Nigeria more practical and less theoretical. The federal government will soon realign policies to address this need. This formed part of the deliberations at a meeting convened by the Ministry of Education with rectors of polytechnics and provosts of colleges of education. Zenret Demoon reports.
Highlighting the need to intensify efforts towards the digitization of education sector, the Minister of Education emphasizes that the current narrative must be changed. Priorities, he states, must be properly aligned to ensure Nigeria keeps pace with global educational trends. The minister urges tertiary institutions to diversify their revenue sources and sensitize students on how to access students' loans and other available opportunities.
Participate actively as your contributions
will be instrumental in shaping the policies that govern the education system, which directly impact the lives of countless students across the nation.
We now need to align the courses we teach in a federal polytechnics and a federal college of education with what we need in the country. You need to align your educational programs with Nigerian National Development Plan, ensuring graduates are equipped to contribute to economic development in a sustainable manner.
Inadequate funding, dichotomy between university and polytechnic graduates, the implementation of dual mandate, inadequate hostel and classroom facilities, the sharing formula for TED Fund interventions, staffing and training challenges. These were tabled for the Minister's consideration to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the system.
Consequently, cases of theft and unkempt college environment, are becoming rampant, since many of the unpaid casual personnel lack motivation to perform their duties on a salary of 10,000 naira. We strongly advocate for the establishment of a National Polytechnic Commission to serve as a dedicated regulatory and supervisory body for the polytechnic education.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the National Sports Commission provides insights into efforts to revamp sports programs in tertiary institutions, emphasizing the importance of integrating sports into the educational framework. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmoon, NTA News.
And a two-day conference intended to develop a sustainable roadmap for 21st century education in Nigeria is underway in Abuja, a collaborative effort of the National Universities Commission and Committee of Directors of Academic Planning of Nigerian Universities. The conference emphasizes a unified effort to transform the nation's education sector. Francis Udojo reports.
The aim of the two-day conference is to exchange ideas between participants, address challenges affecting the education system, and provide solutions that will redefine Nigeria universities in the 21st century for a sustainable future. Professor Yakubu Aboki Ochefu identifies inadequate funding, poor governance, insufficient infrastructure, and corruption as significant barriers to progress. He challenges stakeholders to view these issues as opportunities to innovate and build capacity within universities.
In this era of knowledge as a service, in this era of data as an economic resource, as a new oil, we should be able to churn out new ideas that will revitalize our university system.
You can't run away from AI in these days. So he has listed some of the issues to be tackled, and I'm sure the DAPs at the end of the two-day conference will be able to come up with resolutions that will be very impactful to the Nigerian university system.
We can work with all the things that we have to make sure that Nigerian universities have the opportunities of measuring up to the demands at the global level.
The event aims to provide a sustainable roadmap for redefining university education in Nigeria, ensuring it meets the demands of the 21st century. In Abuja, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, by 2030, an estimated 35 to 40% of duties will be required in digital skills to meet up the government through the National Information Technology Development Agency. NIDDA has launched the Digital Literacy for All program to train civil servants in skills needed to deliver efficient and tech-driven services to citizens. Chimdima Ndubisi report that in the next 3 days, first batch of 1,848 civil servants will undergo training on key digital skills, including fundamentals of using digital tools, effective use of computers and mobile devices, creating online content, and digital safety and security.
Civil servant enroll on this platform in partnership with Cisco. Anybody that participates in this program will earn a certificate that is globally recognized. And this will empower all our public servants to be digitally literate.
The expected outcomes are upskilling of our staff to be able to know how to navigate and bring themselves up to speed regarding digital skills, and to be able to have a workforce that will be able to deliver better service for Nigerians.
The target is to train 8,000 civil servants per month to reach more than 5 million formal workers across both public and private sector by 2027. This initiative also aligns with the broader goal of achieving 70% digital literacy across Nigeria's population by 2027. Now, with the rapidly developing digital world driven by artificial intelligence, expert warns that distinguishing between genuine digital content and digital curated deepfakes may become increasingly challenging. In this special report, Toyibat Anifowoshi examines the effect deepfakes and how individuals can take responsibility in identifying them.
Are artificially created media using artificial intelligence, a technology which experts believe could blur the lines between reality and fiction.
It's not the educated elite that will be in trouble with deepfakes. It's the locals who have relied so much on technology and who have so much trust in technology that they feel that anything they see whether it's in the media is true.
There's been numerous concerns from some quarters about the damage that deepfakes could pose. A notable case was the deepfake of the Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky, where he supposedly asked Ukrainian forces to surrender to the Russian army. In entertainment, the TikTok account Deep Tom Cruise created deepfakes of actor Tom Cruise, deceiving millions. In the business world, a deepfake was used to impersonate the head of communications at Binance, aiming to deceive representatives of other companies in cryptocurrency transactions. These cases demonstrate the threat that deepfakes pose in terms of security and privacy.
To identify deepfakes, you need to pay close attention to the emotion, to the display of emotion, and to the context of that communication. Is there a mismatch? Is there a mismatch in what the person seems to be saying and how the person's emotional display is representing it? Also check the face. Is the face actually aligned? Does it follow the emotions? Or is the person smiling without the cheeks, adjusting to that smile, or maybe not, frowning? We need to pay close attention to that. That is still something that AI will eventually develop and become hard to distinguish, but for now we can still achieve that. I'm afraid in the future you might not have that opportunity to detect deepfakes as easily as that.
Despite concerns about misuse, experts say that deepfakes have numerous positive applications. However, they warn that users should be critical, especially in this digital information era. In Abuja, Toyiba Anifowoshi, NTA News.
Now, imagine if a tech giant like Amazon were a castle and Jeff Bezos is the king. Okay, now he controls who enters the castle, what they see, and how much sellers have to pay to remain there. The shoppers leaving reviews. They are like peasants working for free, while smaller businesses are servants paying rent to stay inside. This analogy perfectly describes techno-feudalism, a digital feudal system. Toyibat Anifowoshi again will explain how.
Techno-feudalism arises from critics of capitalism's transformation due to digital platforms like Amazon, Google, and Meta. And the term was popularized by a Greek economist and politician, Yanis Varoufakis. He argues that the social order is changing as tech giants now wield enormous power and influence, extracting value from their users without fair compensation.
Right from the onset, the system is not built to be fair. Although now there comes the saying that if life is unfair to everyone, does that not mean that life is fair? So if the system is unfair to all the tenants, does that mean the system is still fair? Regardless of that, the rewards that the creators are getting for all the work they put in, and all that work is still subject to manipulation from the owners of these digital platforms, right? The digital landlords per se. So you just have to ask yourself, in a system that is not built to be fair, can you really expect fairness?
Some industry players believe that there is need for a collective pushback by users of these platforms.
The challenge is that we wish we could have ours in Nigeria, our own platform, so we don't have to rely on global platforms, but we can't because of the amount of money it takes to set up data centers that can attend to millions of requests simultaneously. It also is going to be expensive to have server centers, and this is exactly where we need to get it right. What we need is to make sure that while we are still reliant on global giants for hosting our platforms, we must have proxy servers locally hosted so that even for any reason we lose any of these global platforms, we can still have our data intact and we can have our followers' data intact as well. Countries, or at least businesses in countries, should try to own the platform that they run their businesses so that they don't become victims of techno-feudalism.
Industry analysts argue for a fairer system, one that benefits everyone, not just a few billionaires. In Abuja, Toyiba Anifoshi, NTA News.
Many thanks Toyiba for that explanation. That is to say, we need to be careful of our tech landlords. Now, let's go back to our earlier story where Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has officially presented the instrument of office to the new Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akeem Abimbola Owode. Ayomikun Ajibola report that the presentation ceremony took place at the Executive Council chambers in Ibadan.
Dignitaries, which include traditional rulers, government officials, and Oyo Indigenes, witnessed the presentation of instrument of office to the new Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akeem Abimbola Owode. In his remarks, Governor Seyi Makinde described the new Alaafin as a leader ready to preserve the cultural and historical heritage of the Oyo Kingdom. Besides, the significance of the Alaafin's role as more than a traditional leader, but as a custodian of the kingdom's rich history and traditions. He emphasized transparency and accountability in the selection process, warning that any chief found guilty of collecting bribes during the selection process will face prosecution.
Those that are still hell-bent on destabilizing our traditional institution in Oyo, the government is not letting down. We will prosecute them.
Expressing his gratitude to Governor Seyi Makinde and the people of Oyo, Oba Akeem Owode pledged to prioritize the kingdom development and welfare of its people. Oba Akeem Owode, the 46th Alaafin of Oyo, who succeed the late Oba Lamidi Olayiwola Adeyemi III, who ruled Oyo Kingdom for 50 years coronation, will take place in 4 weeks' time. In Ibadan, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
Moving on now, the Nigerian Army will continue to celebrate the country's rich cultural heritage as a tool to unite its personnel. Commander 12th Brigade Nigerian Army Major General Olufemi Ayobami Fadiru said these are the 2024 West African social activities held in Lokoja. Jacob Sani reports.
The West African Social Activities, WASA, is a prominent regimental ritual in the Nigerian Army due to its socio-cultural value to the military and civilians. The idea is to identify values, beliefs, and unique cultural heritage of the people of Nigeria. Preserving the rich cultural heritage, WASA gives the Nigerian Army an opportunity to do so. invited guests and the general public continue to salute the courage and bravery of the country's security agency for their steadfastness in defending the citizens from both external and internal aggression.
He said I should openly celebrate Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for leading well and allowing Kogi to have his blessing through the office of the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu.
To uphold this, the authority believes that the Nigerian Army personnel must celebrate their cultural heritage at the end of every year.
I am hopeful that today we rise up to the occasion. We must ensure that we keep our area of responsibility safe, maintain high level of alertness, and ensure an unwavering loyalty to constitutional authority.
The event featured tug of war and presentation of awards to the distinguished personnel. Other gifts were also presented to non-military personnel at the event.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Here is a quick look at our major stories. Senate meets with Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform team to examine grey areas in proposed tax reform bills. Change of guard at Lagos State House of Assembly as first female speaker emerges. It was a chaotic situation at the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party as contention over authentic secretary remains unabated. We also told you that the federal government hints at realignment of education policies to make learning more practical.
This is NTA News 24.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and United Nations have reaffirmed commitment to strengthen ties in political cooperation, security, and human development. This was when the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Alieu Toure, played host to Deputy Secretary General of the UN, Amina Mohammed, for a high-level discussions aimed at deepening collaboration between the two organizations in Abuja. The leaders highlighted key areas including political cooperation, peace and security, trade liberalization, education, regional integration, and human development, mutual interest for enhanced engagement. ECOWAS and the UN underscored the importance of coordinating action in tackling pressing issues such as violent extremism, climate change, and socio-economic inequality. Up next is sports.
The uncertainty hanging over the appointment of Eric Chile as the new coach of the Super Eagles was over on Monday, as the Nigeria Football Federation unveils the ex-Mali coach and his assistants in Abuja.
What is his record when he managed the national team? That record is very impeccable. 22 games with Mali at the top level, 14 wins, 5 draws, only 3 losses. 40-something goals scored and only 13 goals conceded. So, what are we supposed to do at this moment? We are looking for a process where we can drive this process to get us qualified to the World Cup. We are going to play an African team. So, at this moment, what is it the sensible decision that needs to be done, as the President has said, is to get a person who has a credibility and has a record and understand and agree with the process of African football.
And I think Nigeria good enough. Nigeria for the Super team. I think it will work. I hope it will work.
Chile was named by the NFF as the new coach of Nigeria's senior men's national team last Tuesday, following a recommendation by the Football Ruling Body's Technical and Development Committee, making him the third man to take charge of the team since the exit of Portuguese coach Jose Peseiro. Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, NFF President Ibrahim Gusau, and Secretary General Mohamed Sanusi were among the dignitaries that attended the unveiling ceremony. According to the NFF, the 47-year-old and his assistants will lead the Super Eagles B at next month's African Nations Championship in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda, before focusing squarely on the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign, beginning with the matches against Rwanda and Zimbabwe in March. Meanwhile, former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury has announced his retirement from boxing.
And sweet, I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
Fury last fought in December when he lost his rematch against WBA Super, WBC and WBO champion Oleksandr Usyk. The Briton has enjoyed 2 stints as heavyweight champion and holds a record of 34 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw.
And sport concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim.